Welcome to Crossbody of Work. My name is Evan.
I am Javier.
And we're covering The Rock this week. I'm just getting right into it.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
It is the first of a three-parter. We love our three-part series on kind of the top guys, and there may be no more popular person we'll ever cover on this podcast than The Rock. He is like the most popular person maybe on Earth. I think everyone has a positive opinion of Dwayne Johnson.
I mean, most people, I would certainly say so. There was probably a moment in time there where CM Punk wasn't too happy with the man. You know, I guess the Shield might have had their licks as well on a kayfabe level. But yeah, no, I don't see how you can have any ill feelings towards The Rock. I mean, the guy seems like a pretty wholesome human being outside, you know, everything, just in regular human life.
Cool dude.
Yeah, he seems like the coolest guy ever. He's the biggest star in Hollywood, and he seems like a very wholesome guy who genuinely gives back. You know, he seems pretty humble as well. Great family. You know, what more could you want out of this Adonis-like Samoan man?
$1 million smile, absolutely ripped, legendary cheat days.
Future president of the United States.
With Vice President Kevin Hart. I would love Vice President Kevin Hart. But I wouldn't, because Kevin Hart's Kevin Hart. Kevin
Hart's not the smartest of men.
I just like seeing him and Dwayne interact. I find them very funny together.
It's just funny, because one is a 6'5" Samoan man, D's to the gills, and the other one's about a 5'4" African-American man who is in great shape in his own right, but he's 5'4".
But he's Kevin Hart. I was thinking about this when we were planning the podcast. I'm like, do we need to introduce The Rock? Like, you know who he is.
Yeah. So Dwayne Johnson.
Social media.
He is the grandson of High Chief Peter Maivia. He is the son of Rocky Johnson. He's obviously a part of the very famous Maivia family. He's I guess you could say he's related to the Anoa'i family.
Yep.
It's a very weird story. Do you know the story, Evan?
I don't think I do.
So I guess Maivia, the High Chief Peter Maivia, I guess at some point got like really close with whoever the head of the Anoa'i family was, and they had this like blood thing where they just like it's like a blood shake, you know, the one where they like cut the
Blood Brothers one, yeah.
Yeah, they cut the hands, shook hands or whatever, and I guess they were like, all right, we're blood relatives now. So they're not actual blood relatives, but they are blood relatives.
They are in their mind, yeah. Because of the ceremony. That makes sense. I can understand that.
Yeah, so technically The Rock and Roman Reigns aren't actually cousins, but they are cousins.
But they are cousins, yeah. It all makes sense. Now, we're going to be covering The Rock's early career, starting with his debut at Survivor Series 96, which we'll get to in just a minute, all the way up until his first WWF Championship run. So we're covering really the early years of Rock. Rock has become such a staple of, you know, pop culture and society that everyone's like, oh yeah, he used to be a wrestler. His original run as a wrestler does not last terribly long.
No.
Like, he wasn't like a 10, 15-year guy. It's 96 to roughly, 03?
Yeah.
That's about 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, he gets to about midway through 03 before he ships off to Hollywood. He comes back for Mania in 2004, and then you don't see him again until 2011.
And we will cover when he comes back in 2011. Let's do the housekeeping bits. Follow Full Press Wrestling to check out all your wrestling content needs. Follow us on there, FPC_wrestling on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Crossbody of Work. And we'll get all that all the way. That's enough. That's enough. Let's just talk about The Rock. Specifically this debut, Survivor Series 1996, debuting in a traditional Survivor Series match.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's nothing like debuting in the hotly contested rivalry of Mark Miro and Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
These teams are some 2K universe random generated nonsense.
These are the teams that Evan would put together. This is the only thing that I thought while doing this. Evan wrote this. He booked this match. He did everything.
I booked it.
You know, because on one side you've Triple H, but he's not Triple H yet. He is Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah, he's still the pompous cunt from... Oh, sorry.
I love that. I had no idea that's where you're going to go with it. I loved it.
I don't know if I could say that on the airwaves. He's still the pompous SOB from Connecticut, even though he's from New Hampshire. Alongside him, you've got probably his polar opposite in Goldust.
Yep.
You've got
the exact opposite of a human being.
You've got Crush, who they keep saying...
there for some reason.
First off, Crush is like the most white man-looking white man ever. And they keep saying, oh, he's from Hawaii. It's like, all right, if Crush is Hawaiian, I'm from fucking Budapest.
And to round out this motley crew, you know what you need? Jerry the King Lawler.
And
that's the one side.
It gets even worse on the other side.
It's very strange, too. So like we said, we have Rocky Maivia in his debut, and Rocky is in the aqua blue
tassels,
trunks, and he's got the tassels coming off, and it's a very odd look for him. And he is teammates with the Stalker, who is podcast favorite Barry Windham. And I'm gonna talk about his outfit a little later, but just know that I was fixated on Barry.
Just know that he is the Stalker. That is his gimmick. He's the Stalker.
And they call him the Stalker Barry Windham, which I was like, that's so fucking weird. Why would you do that? Mark Marrow, who you mentioned is there, who is now a very successful motivational speaker, and he's there alongside Sable.
His wife at the time.
They're supposed to be, I think it's Mark Henry is supposed to be on the team, but he got injured or something happened. So Mark Marrow cuts a promo to replace Mark Henry, and it's Jake the Snake Roberts.
41-year-old Jake the Snake looking terribly out of shape.
It's a whole collection of the strangest people. And who else was there? Sunny is on commentary. I'm not entirely sure why.
Because she had 1 million hits on the internet.
Yes, she talks about that a lot. She has 1 million hits on the internet. And Marlena is out there with Goldust as well, also known as Terry Runnels.
Yes, because they are still a thing.
Goldust's wife, yes. I want to know your thoughts. Just give me your thoughts on this one.
Rocky gets no reaction at all when he comes out. Just none. Not what you want from a debut.
And no reaction is much worse than a bad reaction.
Yeah, and it sucks too because he's an MSG. If
he's debuting in the Garden.
It's like the place. It's the Mecca. It's where you want to get at least something. And he just gets you hear slight murmurs from the crowd, but you just hear Vince McMahon talking really the whole time.
It's not the hot debut you would expect for somebody who is now, like we said, one of the biggest stars in the universe.
Now, this may be an episode about The Rock. Rocky Maivia is definitely going to be the person we focus on most in this match. But Evan, I just have to hear your thoughts on good old Barry Windham.
Okay, Barry Windham. Barry Windham's outfit. Let's go from bottom.
I need a full dissection.
Dudley Boy camo pants that he found in the trash.
Camo boots.
Camo boots, yeah. For some reason, a generic sleeveless WWF tee with the old block gold logo. And I don't understand people. He clearly doesn't have his own merch, but he needed a shirt because he wanted to put a shirt on. So he's like, I guess, WWF shirt, that's fine. One of the biggest blonde duster mustaches I've ever seen in my life. That qualifies as a womb broom right there. That is alarming. And a pure blonde mullet. Overall, I give it a 12 out of 10. It's an absolute fit. It looks amazing.
It's just insane to me that this guy was at one point the top draw of the NWA. He was not only their biggest babyface, but was also at one point their biggest heel.
What a fall. What an absolute tumble.
And now he looks like bigger match. Spike Dudley.
Yeah, he does look like bigger Spike Dudley.
That's all he does. That's literally, I saw him and I was like, is that Spike? That guy's pretty big. Wait, I thought Barry Windham was in this match.
Nope, it's just big Spike Dudley.
It takes a while for the match to start. at least for me, I just have to keep pausing it and looking at the people.
It takes a long time, lots of tags. We finally get a little bit of action, and it's Mero and Goldust who were the first ones, because people kept tagging out to avoid the person they're actually feuding with. So you said, like, Mero is feuding with Triple H, so, like, Mero would get tagged in, Triple H would tag right out immediately. Like, people were trying to avoid one another.
Yeah, at one point, Lawler is in there with Rocky. He's rocking him a bit. He's giving him the old veteran charm, but Rocky does a kip up, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's 6'5", 270 pounds. He was a defensive tackle at the University of Miami." It's like, yeah, get all the hits in. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, just put all the info out there. And I will say, for those who are unfamiliar with Young Rock does not look like current Rock, and Young Rock doesn't even look like.
Actually, Young Rock looks a lot like current Rock, big, like, mass wise.
Size wise, yes. Definition wise, no.
Yeah,
he's not nearly as cut.
He's smoother
as he is now. He's smoothed out.
He's smooth. He's bulky. He's just smoothed out.
He's just smooth.
A lot of oil on this guy.
Rock gets in. He hits a right hand that knocks all out of the ring. But eventually, Goldust and Triple H kind of get the advantage on Rock. It's also, I want to talk about Rock's haircut. It's the high top, but it's no fade. It's
the poofy mane.
It's just a lot of poof up top and then no hair on the sides.
Kind of looking like Gerald from Hey Arnold.
That's a deep cut. I like that.
But yeah, I mean, this is the first time we see Rock and Triple H in the ring together. At one point when they have an exchange
on this episode a little bit later.
Yeah, it's an iconic feud that we've had throughout the years with the WWE. To the top guys post Austin neck injury, who really held it afloat, especially in the year 2000, which
really carry 2000.
Yeah, which in my opinion is the best year of WWE.
I agree. In terms of especially pay-per-views. The pay-per-views that year all slap. They're all so good.
Like, it's crazy when arguably the worst pay-per-view of the bunch was WrestleMania.
Yep. That's the only one. And that's only because it had one singles match.
At one point, Rock starts heating up again. He starts throwing haymakers at Triple H to finally get out of his little heat spot where he's just getting beat up. He tags in Jake for a hot tag, and it may be the slowest hot tag I've ever seen in my life.
At most, a lukewarm tag.
It ends up working, though, because at one point, Lawler and Jake get into the ring together. Lawler starts taunting Jake. He does the little drinking thing with his hand. He's really getting in there. Obviously, a nod to Jake's issues with substance abuse. At one point, he gets his comeuppance, though. Jake hits the DDT, and I mean, hits that DDT. He spikes Lawler. And Lawler, 1, 2, 3, yada.
Lawler's gone. The next elimination, because my only note between here and then was when I dissected Wyndham's outfit, is Goldust hitting the curtain call and eliminating Wyndham. So it goes back to 3 aside.
Yes. And then Miro comes in. He starts getting worked. It's weird saying Miro because it's like Miro, like Rusev.
Yeah. Miro. Yeah.
It's great. Miro comes in. He starts getting worked on. And, worked on. At one point, there's an abdominal stretch that Triple H puts on him that lasts about half my lifetime.
It was everybody taking a breath. Everybody took a breather during that abdominal
Except
stretch.
for Jake the Snake Roberts, who decided, I'm going to stomp incessantly. And it's going to be so loud that I could barely hear the commentary team.
I do like also seeing young Triple H, and I'm sure eventually we're going to do a deep dive into Hunter's career, but in this match already, he's got certain moves that are part of his now famous arsenal.
Yeah,
because he hits the knee drop that he loves to hit.
Yeah, I mean, I loved seeing early Triple H because he had this explosion to him.
Yeah,
quad tear Triple H. This was a stage where he was really starting to put it together as a performer. He hadn't been there yet as a talker. He'll get to that point around 99, 2000. Where he really puts it all together, because I personally think the best Triple H is that 2000 run that he had. But at this point, you just see it there. Athletically, the guy is on a different plane than the one that, the Triple H that we're used to. The guy that we saw in the 2000s and into the 2010s where, he was more of a methodical worker. This guy right here, he is fucking fast.
Yeah, back in the mid 2000s is when he comes back, and Ultimate Warrior once described him as Mr. Puffy Man. He's just a lot more puffy and bulky then, and his working style's changed a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
here he is skinny. Big, but skinny.
Skinny H. Lowercase h.
Yeah, this is lowercase h.
Mero tries the sunset flip on Hunter, and Triple H flails for a very long time, trying to avoid it. They're like, "Oh, I'm not going down." He finally gets the tag to Goldie. The next elimination comes a little bit after that. Triple H gets tagged back in. Mero hits the Mero Salt, which I was pretty impressed with. I didn't expect to see anybody hitting a moonsault in this match.
I didn't either, if I'm being completely honest with you. But if I did expect anyone, it was going to be Mero, because I remember the Mero Salt being a thing.
I did not remember that was his finish.
It's not his finish. It's he is the TKO.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those deals where he had multiple finishes. It's like how The Rock could beat you with the rock bottom or just drop the people's elbow.
That's true. Or a sharpshooter.
Yikes. So Triple H is Gonzo. Miro just whiffs on a dive to the outside. I don't know what happened there. He just completely missed, and then he's eliminated
unceremoniously by Crush. It looked like Mero even tried to kick out, but I don't know. Maybe he was injured.
Was it a heart punch? Right? He ate the heart punch.
I think he probably hit the heart punch, and then Crush hits the heart punch to Roberts, and so it's Rocky versus Crush and Goldust. What a 2-on-1 for the new boy.
Before we move any further, we need to talk about this. The heart punch.
It's one of the dumbest moves ever.
It's up there. It's up there with not the Great Khali, the Great Khali head crush, but the Kurgan head crush.
Okay.
Because the Great Khali's hands were freaking massive. Like, you saw him when he put it on Rey Mysterio one of those times. Like, he completely engulfed his head. I could believe that this man's skull was hurting. Kurgan had, like, my size hands. And he would just, like, it was just like a weird, barely squeezing the temples with his pinky and thumb. It was terrible. There was nothing good about the oddities. Kurgan made it a lot worse with that finish. I love the oddities personally. But,
I was going to say, this is Golga slander that I won't stand for.
Personally, I'm a big fan of the oddities. I meant more just like a regular person perspective. We are insane when it comes to wrestling. We enjoyed this collection of people.
This is true. This was very, very thrilling for us.
But Kurgan is number 1 on the worst finisher chart. This has to be number 2. What the hell? People get punched all the time in the chest region. Yeah. Why is it that when Crush does it, what is it? Because he's from Hawaii, apparently.
I don't understand the logic behind it, but apparently it's super deadly to your heart.
I'm surprised that we went this far in wrestling without someone having the Kali Ma as a finish, where they just tried to reach into your chest and grab your heart out.
Somebody call the boogeyman. I have an idea. Diving double crossbody by Rock and Crush almost does not catch Rock properly there. Goldust hits Rock with a low blow. Then he's holding up Rock. Crush goes for the heart punch. Rocky ducks, hits Goldust. A crossbody. Rock eliminates Crush. And it's down to Rocky versus Goldust. And Rocky wins with the shoulder breaker as a finish.
Which was his finish before he turned into The Rock.
And we're glad that he turned into The Rock because the shoulder breaker is a pretty trash finish.
My favorite part about everything in this match came after the finish when Sonny just goes, "Oh my God, I feel like my name should be Adrian."
Moving on from that quality, we're skipping ahead quite a bit to In Your House 19, which is D-Generation X In Your House. Stone Cold, guy you might have heard of, defending the Intercontinental Championship against Rock. And Rock, as we know, as you may know, was met with Die Rocky Die chants as a babyface. It was a babyface gimmick that clearly did not go over. He turned heel, aligned with the nation, and became The Rock. What a daft move by The Rock and by booking to, play into it and turn heel. Stone Cold had won the Intercontinental Championship at the 97 Survivor Series. Rock had held it earlier in the year. winning it from Triple H and losing it to Owen Hart. And then I think there was one more reign between Owen and Austin.
Because neck injuries.
Right, because neck injuries. What did you think of the match?
I mean, this match was, I guess in technical terms, it was a match. It wasn't much of one. Austin was clearly still struggling with the whole neck break ordeal. He couldn't have a proper match. This was like 4 or 5 minutes of just Austin being chaotic, which we love. We appreciate it.
We do.
He doesn't take a bump, I don't think. If he does, it's a very minor one. I really just remember seeing him on top.
Austin gets tossed outside by The Rock at one point.
Yeah,
it's through the ropes.
Yeah, I mean that's something where he doesn't really need to land on his neck to do. If this were 2021, people would be like so upset that Austin just buried the nation because
Austin buries the nation.
Yes, yeah, he buries the nation here. It's one of those things, though, where, like, I feel like they got put over very well in that burial. So I don't think it actually is a burial. If anything, I think this was the best way to go about it because it starts off with D'Lo getting back body dropped onto the truck that Austin drove out on. He gets back body dropped onto the windshield. And then Austin just hits a stunner.
On the top of
the truck. And D'Lo is just dead. D'Lo is now dead.
What's the best of Austin's vehicles? Because
the milk truck
has been in a lot of vehicles.
Or not the beer truck.
The beer truck.
The beer truck is absolutely the best one. It's that, or it's the cement onto Vince's Porsche or Corvette, whatever it was.
I like that one a lot.
Or the ATV. I love the ATV.
So also we should note that the Nation members who were there, D'Lo, who you already said, Farouk and Kama
and The Rock.
Yes. So Austin had driven his truck out there. We talked about what happened to D'Lo. Austin, I think, gets tossed up to the outside by The Rock. Farouk and Kama get some shots in on him. Kama goes for a chair shot on Austin. He ducks and instead connects with Farouk,
who gets freaking blasted.
Yeah. Like, it looked at first like it hit the truck, but it clearly hit Farouk pretty clean in the head.
Yeah, it was like a concerto type deal with the truck.
Yeah, with the truck as the Christian to the edge.
Yeah, it did not look great. But then Kama gets friggin' flung into the truck. It looks like I think what they were trying to go for was him going through the windshield or the side window, but he wasn't able to get it all the way through, so he just kind of like tumbled over. It left a pretty gnarly dent in the truck.
Yeah, that truck is pretty fucked up after this match.
Yeah, Austin goes into the ring. He starts stumping a mud hole into The Rock. At one point, he gets distracted by one of the Nation guys on the outside. The ref like taps him on the shoulder, and Austin stuns the ref, thinking it was Rock.
Yeah, he was going for a stunner. He's distracted by the Nation. Austin accidentally stunners the ref, and the camera barely catches it. It was the very rare time where WWE does not get the camera work right.
Yeah.
I should also note, Austin still has his vest on. Like, he hasn't even taken his vest off in this match. He's like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, Austin didn't like wrestling shirtless at this point, you know? His neck's broke. He just wants to go out there and vibe.
In terms of Rock here, he does get a little bit of offense in, especially getting some strikes in, and you can already see that Rock has that mustard on his strikes. I love Rock punches. I used to always give them to my wrestlers in 2K and in other older games. Like, the swagger on that last punch.
When he steers the hand and then...
Yeah. Oh, my God. It was always so good. And you can see it's not fully developed here yet, but it's coming. And he's got that swagger in his especially in his strikes.
Yeah, I mean, the best part about doing this episode was you get to see the confidence growth in The Rock as a performer. Like, not only just... him obviously improving as a wrestler, but him being more confident in himself and as a character. And he's really going out there and, not only just performing, but like really putting on a performance for people, like it's more than just wrestling for the guy. He's really trying to entertain people, whether he is the heel or the babyface.
He's the most electrifying man in sports entertainment. We're getting to that point.
Yeah, heavily emphasizing the entertainment part.
Yes. Rock gets brass knuckles, I think from Kama. One of them gives him brass knucks. He's got them, Regal style. Shout out to Willie Regal.
Austin,
War games.
Austin counters the shot, which was like so anticlimactic. He just like puts his arm up and counters it like
block.
He would normal.
It looked like the block by Tommy Young last week. Clean block. And then he's ready to go for the stunner.
He hits a stunner. He's on top of Rock for like 3 seconds, and then another ref just comes out of nowhere. I mean, literally out of nowhere. 1, 2, 3. Austin wins. I guess he retains the IC. No,
he retains.
Yeah, because Rock stole the belt.
Rock had stolen the belt. This is the feud where Rock throws the belt into the river.
No, Austin throws the belt into the river.
Austin throws the belt. Somebody throws a belt into
Someone
a river.
throws.
I remember that.
I forget who. I think it's Austin gets thrown into the river too.
The next night on Raw, Rock would win the title.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah, that's some classic WWF booking for you. That really doesn't happen as much now.
Love early Attitude Era.
Yeah, this is early Attitude Era when everything could switch at the drop of a hat.
Except for the top title somehow.
Yes, and then that changes a little bit because, was it year 2000? Is that the year where it changes all the time, or is it 01?
2000 it changes a fuck ton.
Yeah, I think it's 2000 that changes a lot. We're going to take our first commercial break. When we get back, we're looking at a King of the Ring finals match. Back from the break, and we are at King of the Ring 1998. Rock is leader of the nation, having ousted Farouk at this point. He is also Intercontinental Champion again, which, leads into a feud eventually with Triple H, who we will get to in a moment. But it is the finals of the King of the Ring against Ken Shamrock. I want to talk paths to the finals first. Shamrock took out 2 other members of the nation, Mark Henry, and then beat Jeff Jarrett, who we don't like on this podcast.
Hey, solid member of the nation.
Everyone's favorite nation member, Jeff Jarrett. Rock took out Vader, Triple H, and Dan Severn in what is a murderer's row of people I would not want to piss off.
Except for Triple H. I'm perfectly okay with pissing off Triple H.
He has people who could hurt me. He's got all of his NXT goons now.
I mean...
Papa H.
Yes. I don't know. I think it's because his name is
me.
Paul. I don't know. There's something about the name Paul that's just so not intimidating to me.
And this, you're gonna be in trouble when Paul gets home.
Paulie. Because Paulie just seems like the schmuck of the group, It
just reminds me of DJ Paulie D.
Exactly. But who's the Paulie D is probably the least violent human being I've ever, had the privilege of seeing. How can you say
he's violent? He beats that beat up every day.
Okay. So, someone check on Mankind. It hasn't happened yet. I believe it's the match after this one.
Right after this, yep.
But someone check on Mankind anyways. Also,
because this is the match this is the pay-per-view where he faces Undertaker in the Hell in a Cell match, if you're unaware.
Yeah. Also, I had to restart this thing about 14 different times because I kept thinking to myself, why the hell is the DX music on every time I click on this match?
And it's because Triple H is coming out for commentary.
I was so upset when I finally just said, screw it, just let it go. Only for Triple H to legitimately, this is actually the start of this segment. It was annoying.
We're going to talk about Triple H on commentary because he says a line. We'll get to that in a minute.
Wait a minute. No, we were not brushed past Triple H. Why the fuck did he take off his shirt to do commentary?
Sometimes it's just hot at ringside. You got to just take off your shirt, show him what you're working with.
Because it's one thing if you're like, oh, I'm a body guy, I got to show off the physique. They never show commentary.
No, they really don't. Let's talk King of the Ring in general. I want to know your thoughts on King of the Ring. Who is your favorite King of the Ring?
Oh, I mean, my favorite, Owen Hart is number 1 for me, always. He's the King of Hearts. He's the Black Heart. He's just everything. I don't know. I feel like the first person that comes to mind when I think of King of the Ring is that. I also think of Brett and Mr. Perfect too because of their incredible matches. But yeah, Owen's definitely the guy I think was the best one because it felt right when he won. King of the Ring works best when it just feels right that's the winner. It's like they had a really good series of runs where they always chose the right person, and then fucking Sheamus won it, I guess, and it was just done.
I think one of my favorite King of the Ring tournaments is when Brock wins.
Yeah, when he faces RVD in the final.
I'm very fond of the O2 tournament. I just love the tournament itself.
Yeah.
I think it's because it was like right in the peak of my watching, and it was the brand split era, right? I think that was the first brand split.
Yeah. It might have actually been the first pay-per-view post-brand split.
I remember just being a big fan of it because then, the semifinals were Jericho, Van Dam, and Brock versus Test. And Brock had just like cleaned house on the way because he whooped Bubba Ray, he whooped Booker T.
He's also Brock Lesnar.
He's also Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Obviously, like I think the King gimmicks have always been better for guys like Owen, Mr. Perfect, William Regal when he won that random one.
Yeah,
because like just give it to Regal, King Regal. That's perfect.
I just hate,
Regal.
I feel nowadays King of the Ring isn't. I mean, it's just not used anymore, but it isn't used in the way that it should be. It really should be used as a platform to put a guy who's, he's established, he's around, but really you could, like, push a little higher up the card just through this. I mean, Baron Corbin winning it didn't do anything for Baron Corbin.
Didn't do anything.
I mean, it wouldn't have done anything for Chad Gable either, I don't feel like, because that would have been a weird gimmick.
I think it should have been Chad. But that's the thing is I think you can do King of the Ring without it being a King gimmick.
Yes,
we
don't need Wade Barrett in the plastic stuff. It looked terrible.
It looked awful.
It also was the right person to win, though. That's what upset me the most. Wade Barrett fucking should have won that King of the Ring tournament. And then I really
think they could bring it back. And I know that it's one of the things that Xavier Woods is constantly pushing for is for King of the Ring to come back and for him to win.
Yeah, so we give it to Mustafa Ali instead.
That's true. Heat. Let's talk about the match itself. What were your thoughts?
I mean, in the words of Triple H, these are athletes. These are not old men stumbling around the ring. And that's what this match was. It was an athletic masterclass between fucking crazy man Ken Shamrock and The Rock.
Ken Shamrock's fighting stance is way too intense. It scares the shit out of me.
His face is way too intense.
Fully up. Yeah.
He's always like got his eyes like beating out. It looks weird. It's like, Ken, hey, maybe take it down a couple notches. Just a couple.
Ken brews his coffee with 5-hour energies.
And throws a little bit of Monster in there for some taste.
Oh yeah. Just directly injects Monster into his veins.
The match starts off slow, to be fair. It starts off pretty slow. Rock really takes a couple breathers on the outside for a little bit. There's a headlock spot early on. It does not start off great.
So as we talked about Triple H being on commentary, China is on Spanish commentary, and they cut to the Spanish broadcast for a little bit. And, multilingual queen, we stand.
Yeah, she does a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Not the worst white woman accent.
And then it switches over, and JR asks Triple H, what did she say? And Triple H says, I'm not bilingual, or I don't know. And he says something about Taco Bell.
He says something about Taco Bell. Taco Bell, I believe she's saying Taco Bell, double burrito or whatever.
Which, like, cool, casual racism. It's 1998. JR says, you're not bilingual, and this is Triple H's quote. There's a lot of bi things I am, but lingual is not one of them.
Oh, wait, did I say that?
To Triple H on his very subtle coming out. Good for him.
He goes, did I say that? He had no idea that what he meant to say there. It didn't really hit him until like a couple seconds later when he was like, oh shit, I didn't mean to say that.
And then JR's like, I don't think you did, but we're live. I like to believe that Triple H was fed that line through his headset as a rib.
I do too. I will
say now, kayfabe, canonically, Triple H is bi. That is what we've learned.
Yes. So anything involving him and Randy Orton was really just him concealing his love.
A lot of subtext.
Yeah. I mean, hey, me too, Hunter. I would too for Randy.
A lot of subtext. The presence of Triple H is really a big thing in this match because that's one of the first moments in the match. Triple H spraying water in Rock's face at ringside and taunting him from the commentary desk, and that allows Shamrock to take advantage in the match.
Yeah, it also makes a lot of sense because, there's bad blood between the three of those guys. Shamrock had his stuff with DX, Michaels and them. I believe that had already happened by this point. And obviously, Triple H and Rock have their feud going, as well established by the fact that he is on commentary. He is there for The Rock. He is not there for Shamrock.
No.
Which is
no
weird.
issue with Shamrock.
It's so weird how The Rock's name is in Shamrock's name. I just now put that together.
Rock Shamrock.
Yeah, I mean, again, these guys had a really slow match. That stuff I said before this match started was sarcasm, human beings, by the way. This was not an exciting match. This was really, really boring for like 15 minutes, however long it was.
There's a couple good moments. Shamrock has a nice suplex for 2 count. Rock at one point gets whipped into the barricade on the outside and clothesline Shamrock on the bounce back. I thought that was cool.
Rock hits a DDT, people's elbow.
Yeah, and is this one it's called the People's Elbow too? Because he hit the People's Elbow in the last match, but it wasn't called the People's Elbow yet.
I think it was called the People's Elbow at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
He hits another DDT at some point. Shamrock kicks out for a near fall. Then Shamrock starts firing up. He hits a punch. He hits a bunch of strikes, some back elbows, some fists, the usual stuff that Shamrock does.
I can't say what anything is. I don't know anything about MMA.
A back elbow is just a back elbow.
But I'm sure that there'd be like some technical term, and it's actually a this, and I'm like, no, he hit him with his elbow.
It's a back elbow. No, it's a back elbow. Good. He starts throwing a couple punches. At one point, I could have sworn he chopped the Rock.
Karate chop.
Yeah, like a karate chop. And then he hits a really freaking weird looking suplex for a near fall.
Yeah, I didn't know what to write it down as. I just put slam.
It looked like a suplex, but it didn't look like a suplex. And then he hits a Northern Lights suplex at one point for a near fall. And then it just starts going to the finish. Go ahead, Evan. Get to the finish.
Shamrock just picks the ankle of a very frustrated Rock. Because Rock had a little bit of offense in before that?
Yeah.
Or was it he got back in control, and then Shamrock picks the ankle, and he has to tap. Shamrock is the king of the ring. One of the lower echelon king of the ring wins, I would say, in terms of reign as king.
Yeah, I feel like by the next week, people were kind of just forgetting that Ken Shamrock was the king of the ring.
Because Shamrock was just intense guy. That was his whole gimmick.
It doesn't fit the king material,
No.
This would have been a great spot for The Rock. King Rocky.
Oh, yeah. The people's king?
Yeah, sure. The people's king, the people's ruler, the people's leader. And it would have helped even more. I don't know if he was a part of the nation. Yeah, he still was a part of the nation. I mean, that could have helped in the fallout, too, because Farouk would have been like, hey, you think you're the frickin' king around here? No, motherfucker, it's me.
Let's go to match number 4. And this is a direct continuation of the feud we just saw. So we've gone from King of the Ring, which is what, May, June, around there?
Somewhere in that region.
Yeah. And now we're at SummerSlam, which is August. SummerSlam 98, and it's Rock versus Triple H for the Intercontinental Championship in a ladder match. So their feud has obviously boiled over. DX feuds with Nation's Domination, and as the two leaders, these two went at it for the IC belt in what is seen as one of the best matches between guys who were about to be main eventers but hadn't quite made it there yet.
Yeah.
These two are on the cusp of being the guys. We talked about how this is... I truly think Triple H is one of Rock's best feuds. Maybe, aside from Austin, I think maybe his best feud over his career is probably Hunter.
Yeah.
This is one of the matches that solidifies it because you talked about gushing about this match before we started recording. You love this match.
Oh, yeah. In my opinion, this is the best match between Rock and Triple H. I think it's better than the Backlash 2000 match. I think it's better than the Judgment Day match. I think it's better than and pretty much any combination of matches that they've had throughout the years. I really do believe this is the best one.
And it's because it's fresh, and both guys are really giving it 100% the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're really and obviously the Intercontinental Championship, as we know, is like the second title, especially at this point. Like, there are no second world championships, right? There's the WWF title, and then IC title is the workman's belt. It's the next belt up. It's the belt you win to establish yourself as like a main event contender.
Yeah,
and these two are fighting over it like it is the cure to some disease. Like, it is the golden idol. Like, they need it, and it's just an intense match, and these two are both on their game.
Yeah, and, Rock and Triple H have, over the years stated, like, they had a lot of, they had a professional rivalry with each other. Like, they really were both trying to fight for that same spot. So you really do see that here, and just the intensity that these two guys have in this match, and, their commitment to really making it special. And it is. I mean, Triple H is 29 years old. The Rock is 26 at this time. Like, these two guys are really, really young. They are the future of the company. And, they're going out there, and it's weird because, like, they're both heels, but Triple H is kind of a babyface. Because
Triple H is the one who's being presented in a more babyface way.
Yeah, because of DX.
The best way to tell is who is JR defending.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way to tell for the whole match, is that, like, JR really bigs up. JR is a great commentator for bigging up even heels, but Lawler is kind of supporting everything Rock is doing, so you're like, okay, so that means that they're really viewing Hunter as the babyface here, and Rock as the heel.
Yeah, and I will give JR his props on this. In this match, he really did a great job of building up both guys. He really made it seem like this was a big deal. This is something, like, people are going to really, really enjoy seeing throughout the next, like, decade or however long these two guys are going to be doing it for. Spoiler alert, wasn't a decade, but
5 years.
Yeah, in just 2 years, these guys are having the hottest rivalry in all of professional wrestling over the world title. So yeah,
and just think, 2 years before this, they were in that mixed bag, random ass fucking Survivor Series match.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, that's growth. That's crazy amount of growth.
Yeah, these two guys are excellent. They really just went out there and they just had a great match. It ran for like 25 minutes. But honestly, that just flew by. It's a ladder match, people. It's kind of a train wreck. It's a methodical train wreck, but it's a train wreck.
This is at the Garden, I believe.
Yes, it is at the Garden.
The short entryway. I love the entryway that they always use for the Garden. Just right on the hard cam, the little short one
with the cage in front too that had to open up for them.
Yeah. Chris Warren and the DX Band is here for the DX intro.
Which is like the third time I feel like I've seen them this episode.
And it's a little off. The sound is off.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It sounds like one person is playing slightly either out of tune or out of rhythm with the rest of them. Chris Warren, I give him props. He sounds exactly the same on recording as he does live, because he nails every part of the DX intro, all the screams, all the whatever. I love when Hunter puts him on his shoulders and he almost falls trying to get off. This is like a weird spur-of-the-moment decision, clearly.
I hated the entrance because it was just camera cut city. So many freaking camera. There was like 5 cuts a second.
It was a little alarming, and I was like, I'm just trying to figure out if he's actually... Like, I couldn't tell at first if Chris Warren was here or not.
Yeah, this was Beaver Boy's dream.
Extreme. This is whose dream?
Beaver Boy's.
Oh my god.
Kevin Dunn. This is his dream right here.
Kevin Dunn's wet dream. So China comes out with Triple H, and Rock has Mark Henry out with him. Mark Henry and China, I think at this point, have already had part of their feud.
Yeah, the whole sexual chocolate ordeal. If it hadn't already like started, it was
coming.
Getting.
What? You don't like my choice of words?
It was definitely getting there. We aren't exactly a lawsuit era yet, but we are getting to the point where, I mean, he blows a kiss to her right before the match starts. Yeah. So we're getting to that point. The match does start off hot. They just go right at each other. It's kind of the early incarnation of the hot ROH starts, where the guys just grab each other and start throwing punches really, really fast.
Yeah.
Where they're just trading haymakers really fast. Rock goes for a rock bottom early. Triple H counters that. And you know, Triple H is kind of on top for a while. He goes to the outside to grab a ladder from the rampway. Rock just fucking decks him.
a lot of work at ringside early. Like, they're at ringside or in the entryway for, I'd say, like, the first almost 10 minutes of the match. It's pretty much where everything happens.
Yeah, they are outside early.
Which gave me a good view of a sign in the crowd that says, Goldberg, who cares? And I agree.
Yeah, Goldberg, who cares?
Goldberg, retire.
That was a terrible match that they had on Sunday. Anyways.
Just retire.
Yeah, it wasn't great. The crowd does not like The Rock, like, at all.
No. The MSG crowd has decided they are Team DX.
Which is insane to me, because in the time between this match and Survivor Series, he becomes like one of the biggest baby faces in the company.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And we're going to get to Survivor Series after this, but it doesn't... The quickness with which we're very fickle. Daniel Bryan was right.
Yeah, I hate wrestling fans.
We are fickle.
We suck, dude. Like, what? Anyways.
But we love and appreciate all of you for listening.
Yeah, no, we appreciate you guys, but, you know.
Yeah, you guys.
We're not wrestlers, so that's fine.
That's true.
Yeah, on one point, Rock Irish whips Triple H onto a ladder that's like leaned up against the ring. Triple H like comes off the ladder, and then on the rebound, Rock just freaking takes him out with a clothesline. He sets up the ladder in the middle of the ring. He starts climbing it. Triple H knocks him off. So Triple H gets on the top rope. Does like a flying like forearm hit, I guess. And I guess the plan was for Triple H to immediately pop up and maybe get on the ladder himself or something. But the ladder tips over, but it doesn't tip over towards The Rock. It tips over towards Triple H, and it lands on him in kind of a gingerly way. But Triple H has to sell it because the friggin' ladder just landed on him. So he's like, shit.
This was not the plan. Triple H hurts his knee getting pulled off the ladder a little bit after that.
Yeah.
And Rock then immediately targets the knee, traps the knee in the ladder, steps on it, hits it with a chair. That becomes something that kind of debilitates Triple H through the rest of the match.
Yeah, that's basically the story of the rest of the match is Triple H's right leg is just done.
Yep, it's just toast. They end up at ringside once again, catapult of Triple H into the ladder. Triple H goes for a pedigree onto the ladder on the entryway, which would have been sick, and also that's a move that you can't really defend yourself taking. So,
especially considering his knee is the thing that hurts, and he's going to drop it on the ladder.
And also, Rock can't really protect his face doing that. So instead, Rock backbody drops him onto the ladder.
Which must have sucked for Triple H. Yeah. Like that, there's no like protecting yourself from those rungs when you're falling back first onto him. Which is cool, because they use that same ladder to climb up on, and you could see the dents on the rungs when it's on the hard cam side.
Sometimes I wonder about the structural integrity of some of the weapons that WWE uses.
I mean, the ladders later on, I feel like are fine, but these look like ladders that they should have just got from Home Depot.
Yeah, they're like, we need 3 of these.
Yeah, basically. So Triple H gets into the ring after this. I believe he knocks Rock off at one point here.
Because Rock suffers from debilitatingly slow climbing syndrome.
Yeah, he knocks Rock off. He falls out of the ring. And then Triple H baseball slides the ladder into The Rock's face, and it fucking busts him wide open.
Yes, Rock is bleeding. Rock does end up coming back into the ring, hitting a DDT. Both men are down. Then they're both up on the ladder. Like, they're both selling a ton.
Yeah, I mean,
this match. There's no shortage of selling here.
Again, The Rock was busted open hard way by that ladder. Like, I tried to look to see if it was a blade job maybe, but then I like saw the actual spot, and that thing hit him square in the fucking face.
Yeah, that's the whole "don't try this at home" piece.
Yeah, Rock throws Triple H off the ladder into another ladder that was set up in the corner, and then Triple H rebounds off of that and pushes Rock off the ladder. He pushes the ladder, knocking Rock off. Triple H uses a chair. So Rock grabs the ladder to try to hit Triple H with it. Triple H gets a chair, and then he just hits the ladder, and it ricochets and I guess hits The Rock. and then Rock like falls back with the ladder on top of him, and Triple H just starts wailing onto the ladder that's on top of Rock, which in actuality I feel like doesn't hurt at all. But in wrestling terms, it's like death.
A couple more close calls. Rock hits a people's elbow on Triple H on the with Triple H on a ladder, like lying flat on a ladder.
Yeah.
And Triple H at one point gets up on the ladder and is close to the title, but Rock pulls him off and hits him with the rock bottom.
Yep.
Then we get to Rock with his hands on the title. He's there. It's within his grasp.
He's got the Chris Jericho syndrome. And
Triple H pulls his pants down. We get the people's ass. The Rock's bottom.
How badly were you waiting to see?
Since watching the match, it was the note I was most excited for. Were those two puns. We see the Rock's bottom.
Tell me the truth. You've just been telling your fiance all week, like, I can't wait to say this.
I can't fucking wait. It's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be so great.
Get ready, people.
Triple H, it's a pedigree. And Rock is down for the count, basically. Until Mark Henry throws powder in Triple H's face.
And commentary keeps talking about it like, the referee didn't see it. And I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, it's a fucking ladder match. Like, these dudes have been freaking hitting each other with chairs and ladders all the time. But the powder's where the ref draws the line.
I draw the line at powder. Bloodshed's fine, but talcum?
No. Mm-mm. Yeah, so Triple H starts climbing the ladder. He can't see because there's powder all over his face. He's just aimlessly reaching over his head to try to get the belt. Rock starts climbing the ladder, but China comes on, low blows the people's jewels, and when he's on the ladder with Triple H, he falls off, obviously, because how could you hang on to a ladder when your precious jewels are hurt?
That's true.
Triple H, I guess, finally is able to see because he climbs up one more rung, grabs the title as Rock is like midway through, like, no. And he pulls the title belt off the hook. Triple H is still your IC champion? No, your new Intercontinental champion.
New IC champion. If there's a match you're going to watch this week, make it this one.
Yes.
You will thoroughly enjoy it. We only really talked about the close calls and the big moves. There's so much more psychology and so many more comeback and heat spots that happen in this match. We're not going to do it justice. If we did, we'd be here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So,
and
go and watch
if anything, just watch it for the people's ass.
You watch it for the Rock's bottom. We're going to take our last commercial. When we get back, we're looking at Deadly Games. Back from the break, our last match of this episode is the finals to the Deadly Games tournament, Survivor Series 1998, Rock versus Mankind for the vacant WWF Championship. I love Deadly Games.
It's the Deadly Games.
That's right. It's the Deadly Games.
In my opinion, the best Survivor Series of all time. I don't think it will ever be topped, personally. It's going to be really tough to do so. It might honestly be the best tournament I've ever seen in professional wrestling. It was done so beautifully. It's a one-night deal that was just booked to perfection.
A one-night 14-man tournament for the recently vacated WWF Championship. So previously to that, Austin had lost the title, I believe, to Kane and Undertaker at the same time because they both pinned him. And then there was another match where Kane and Undertaker were going to face each other for the championship to determine, and Austin had to be the referee. And Austin instead counted both men out and claimed that he was the champion. So the title got vacated, and they're like, we're going to do a tournament instead. Austin got to be in the tournament, and Undertaker and Kane faced each other. I don't understand why it was a 14-man tournament. What a weird fucking number for that, but it's fine.
Like, y'all couldn't get two more?
Undertaker and Kane could get a bye. But looking at paths to the finals, so as you mentioned, Rock is now an intense babyface. He is, like, everyone loves him.
Yeah, aside from Austin, he's the biggest babyface in the company.
I guess he had to get away from Triple H, maybe, because people wanted to cheer DX, but, like, once Rock kind of sheds himself of the nation, he becomes one of the most popular things in wrestling.
Yeah, it's really weird how that SummerSlam match went, because Triple H kind of takes the back seat, whereas Rock is really kind of pushed to the forefront as a babyface.
It's true, which is it's exceptionally weird. But Rock's path to the finals here. He faces Big Boss Man, Ken Shamrock, and Undertaker. So Big Boss Man is a member of the corporation. I don't think Ken Shamrock is at this point. Or maybe he's about to be.
I don't believe he is. Yeah, I think he's still anti-corporate guy.
And Rock, his final one is against The Undertaker. Mankind's faced Dwayne Gill, Al Snow, and then Steve Austin. And Mankind at this point was the adopted son, air quotes on that, of Vince, because Shane had turned on him recently. Shane turned back on Austin in the semis, screwing him in the semis against Mankind. So Shane is still with his father, Vince.
1, 2, double bird, fuck you, Austin.
A beautifully done turn. Shane is still the chosen son of Vince McMahon, but Mankind's the adopted son, and it was clear that Vince was cheering for Mankind. He wanted him to be the champion. He had taken favor on him. Mankind had tried to cheer the boss up. They even had like a makeover of sorts for Mankind. He got like a suit jacket and a little bow tie, and he was prepared. He'd combed his hair for the first time in 36 years. Mankind was ready to be champ.
Loving it up.
He's dude loving it up.
But yeah, it's really interesting to note here. So heading into the finals, obviously Mankind was the guy that the McMahons wanted, but it seemed like the McMahons were getting out of Dodge. They were on their way to Lexington, Kentucky for the Raw taping that would be happening the next night. But we get a nice little backstage camera shot of Boss Man leaving. Shane and Vince are there, and they're like, well, see ya. And, Boss Man leaves. Shane and Vince stay around. We will get to that in a little bit.
It's a really slow match to start.
Yeah, it's not great.
There's not a lot. A long rest hold by Mankind is the only note I have, and that is when we get to Shane and Vince are still here and come to ringside.
Yeah. That's when it actually starts picking up. Rock gets the advantage, and they start fighting into the crowd. Then at one point, Mankind hits Rock with a chair, but that's legal because Vince, I guess, has an edict out. Hey, anything goes.
Yeah. Rock had backdropped Mankind back to ringside, and then they're just fighting along ringside. Mankind gets a chair and just reels onto the Rock.
Yeah.
Just lets loose on him, and Vince is like, no, it's cool. And JR explains it away in commentary, saying, like, Vince McMahon has determined that, like, the championship's been vacant for so long, there needs to be a winner. And I'm like,
that's the excuse.
DQ and just give the title to Rock. I don't know.
Anyways, Rock will get his comeuppance for those chair shots. At one point, Mankind gets, like, buried under the steps. Rock grabs a chair and then hits the steps with the chair. Again, I don't really get the thing where you hit the weapon with a chair and somehow it makes it worse. I feel like it just makes it, like, it doesn't hurt. You just feel kind of the vibration. I guess the vibrations hurt.
I don't want to test it, but it doesn't look as painful as, like, just a clean chair shot.
You know what, Evan? When you get married, me and you are going to test this chair theory.
We're going to have a no-holds-barred brawl at my wedding. I love that.
It's a 24/7 title match.
R-Truth will show up. I'll invite R-Truth. I'll toss him an invite. Now, I want to check on you and see how you're doing, because right after that spot, Jim Ross calls Earl Hebner the best ref in the business. And I need to make sure you're okay.
Let's just say me and JR have had a very sour relationship as of late.
Also, I want to talk about Rock throughout these matches, and especially up to this point, as a seller. Early on in his career, I don't think he had really that much to sell in the beginning of the.
If anything, I thought he was overselling early on in his career.
But I would say now, it's been 2 years, he's got it.
Yeah.
Like, he is pretty good at being consistent and not making it comical. Like, as much as I love the Dolph Ziggler sell, there are certain things he sells, and I'm like, okay, relax, dude. Yeah. Like, that didn't hurt that
Like,
bad.
you took a punch, you don't need to do a freaking double moonsault.
But Rock is pretty consistent. I think you don't think about it because we often associate Rock with being on the offense, right?
Yeah.
He's always, he's one of the top guys. He's always going to get, the big win and get a lot of offense in. Pretty good. He sells a lot of Mankind's offense pretty well, sells the injuries, and doesn't forget That's one thing that always bothers me when people forget that, like, early in the match, my arm hurt. Now my arm's fine. Like, Brock doesn't seem to forget things like that.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I genuinely believe that The Rock is one of the 3-4 best sellers of all time. I think Brock Lesnar is number 1, personally. I don't think anyone sells better than Brock Lesnar.
Is a whole other thing. That man can sell wobbly legs like nobody's.
Yeah,
business.
Shawn Michaels is obvious. I think Shawn Michaels is right there with Brock. But I mean, Shawn Michaels is arguably the greatest performer of all time. So, yeah. Yep. And Rock's up there in the conversations. I guess you could throw Brett in there as well. Owen, Jericho is very good at it as well. But yeah, Rock just got so good at it. I mean, we remember the oversells. Obviously, we remember the sell of the spear when Goldberg debuted. We remember, we remember his iconic sells of the stunner at WrestleMania. You know,
that boy flips.
Yeah, but it's the little things that he does, the facial expressions. That, you know, I'm a big fan of the facial expressions. As people who listen to this podcast know. And he just has those on lock, especially in this match. I mean, he's the babyface. He's the guy who, you know, he's very good at warping his facial expressions to the type of character that he is. Because when he's the heel, he's being super dramatic. He's like, oh my God, like he's playing it like it's death. When he's the babyface, he's really making it realistic. You know, he's not going over the top. He's like, shit, my ribs hurt. Fuck.
This hurts.
Yeah, like
this wrestling match, it's real.
Yeah, like he's taking it on the chin and he's just working with it. And it's cool here because The Rock really takes the role of the babyface and he makes it his own. And honestly, like, I wasn't around in 98, but like just watching this, I can think like, yeah, let's fucking go, Rock. Like, I'm all in on The Rock as a babyface right now. So when he's like sidestepping Mankind, when he's coming off the ropes, sending Mankind through the announce table and doing things like, you know, setting up for the people's elbow, which he does hit at one point here. And you know, and then Mankind, when he gets on top and he hits the double underhook DDT, he gets the sock out, puts on the mandible claw. I'm like, fuck no. Like, I started getting invested in it like I was a little kid watching Deadly Games live.
I also popped when I saw Mr. Sacco. One of my favorite just random asides in wrestling is the fact that Mr. Sacco exists.
Yeah.
The mandible claw is a great move. I think it's uncomfortable and awkward, and it was great for Mankind's initial character. I think it works well with the Fiend's character. Mr. Sacco is fucking funny. It's a sock with and as wrestling fans, we always agree to like just stand the stupidest shit and let it get over.
Fucking Cobra.
I'm talking Francesca, the trombone. I'm talking Mitch the Plant. Like, we take things and we're like, yeah, no, we're gonna cheer for this.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy, just that's it, full stop.
As an
Cassidy.
entity, yeah. But you know, we get a Mr. Sacco appearance in the mandible claw. They do the arm raise test, which I always love. So Rock has the arm raised once and it falls, twice and it falls, third time and he holds it up and he's gonna power out of it. He's doing great. And then Rock gets in control.
Yeah, it's a rock bottom.
Rock hits a rock bottom and locks in the sharpshooter
right up against the rope.
An eyebrow right near the ropes after raising an eyebrow at Vince McMahon. And Vince calls for the bell. Shane raises Rock's hand. It is the first of probably 15 times that WWF has gone to the well to fucking redo the screw job.
Which comes a year after the original screw job.
1 year to the pay-per-view after the original screw job. They do it again. Rock has turned heel and hugs it out with the Evil Empire. It does make the whole tournament fun to rewatch because you now know that secretly Vince wanted Rock to win. There's a match, I think it's the Shamrock match, where Boss Man comes in and tries to toss a nightstick to Shamrock, and Rock catches it in a very smooth move, connects with Shamrock and gets the win. Now that you know that Rock was on the side of the corporation, the toss was meant to go to Rock.
Yeah.
And so when he grabbed, that was the whole plan. It adds an extra wrinkle to rewatching the pay-per-view, which is something that happens pretty much never in wrestling.
Yeah, it's the deep cuts, man. It's the deep cuts that really get you here because, again, Rock was massively over. And I get that some of that was just people hating Vince McMahon and the McMahons as a whole and really not wanting Mankind to win this, but, like, the reactions he was getting, you know, the way that he was being portrayed as a babyface. JR on his side cheering him throughout the whole way. Like, he really got the full nines on this, and like, man, it wouldn't have shocked me if he had won as a babyface and just like people were just okay with this. Like, yeah, we're ready for The Rock, you know. And we don't get the babyface run until I believe just before WrestleMania, right? It was,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, when he really turns babyface. Yeah, right after Mania 99. No, yeah, after 99 Mania, he turns babyface. And, you know, it's one of those things where, like, you have a guy. I mean, this was probably the trial run, you could say, for The Rock as a babyface. They're like, okay, now we know this guy could actually get over as a babyface. So if it doesn't, you know, if things get weird with Austin at some point, there we go. We'll unleash The Rock.
We've got The Rock, yeah.
Because he was fucking over. Like, the reactions that he was getting, he was over. And then it just completely flips on its head. He is now the most hated man in professional wrestling, and it's just insane. It's insane how they managed to do this.
And Vince even says at the end of the match, like, we're not going to explain ourselves to you people. We'll explain it tomorrow night on Raw. Always a good hook. And so the promo we're looking at for The Rock is the promo the next night on Raw. And he's out there with the corporation. Corporation at this point consists of Shane and Vince, Briscoe and Patterson, Sergeant Slaughter, and the Big Boss Man. Again, want to point out a sign I see in the crowd. It says, "Hi, Mom, Ronald is drunk." Like, snitches get stitches. Why you got to be like that? Vince comes out and talks about damn fools, which include people who don't kiss the boss's ass.
So much heat on the McMahons right now.
Oh, yeah. Lexington, Kentucky fucking hates Vince McMahon.
They love John Calipari. They hate Vince McMahon.
They call out the corporate champion, The Rock. And Rock comes out in his cheetah print shirt and his beautiful fucking sideburns.
So silk.
To explain to these people that Rock didn't sell out. He just got ahead.
Oh, man. The Rock did what he had to get to the top. You and Austin, or he starts talking to the trailer park trash of Kentucky.
Yep.
You and Austin can have your morality. You can have your honesty. You can have your blood, sweat, and tears. All that hard work. 50 cents couldn't buy you a cup of coffee.
Cup of redneck coffee.
Yeah, like, it didn't matter. And then we get to the real meat and potatoes of this and why it happens. Now, die, Rocky, die. Rocky sucks. The Rock never forgot that. And he's going to make sure you never do. Oh,
I thought
man.
This was a really good promo. And again, shocking opinion that Rock's having a good promo. Rock's legendary promos we're going to be able to cover in the next 2 episodes because that's when they happen.
Yeah.
And Rock's also somebody that we're still going to watch 5 matches, but he's getting 2 promos.
Yeah, I mean, The Rock is someone we could have done a whole episode just promos on.
Maybe we should, as like an extra aside one time, just review more of The Rock's promos or just famous promos in general that we haven't touched on yet.
Why not? I already agree.
Sold. But Rock is in his element here, being brash, being confident, and heels are always great when they have reasoning that you can understand. Yes, people told him, die, Rocky, die. It's part of the reason he turned and joined the Nation in the first place back in 97. He didn't forget. And he's not going to just say, like, oh, now you cheer me like that. All of a sudden I forget that you wanted me to die, that you think I suck, that you have all these opinions of me. I'm not going to forget that. So I'm going to just buy into the corporation. I'm going to raise the corporate eyebrow, hit the corporate elbow, and be the corporate champion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need the opinion of you people when I have the opinion and the admiration of the boss. I don't need any of it.
Yeah, he's the one that lines my pockets. Like,
yeah, that man pays me. I don't need your shit. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's great. And honestly, listening to this, it just kind of like dawned on me the parallels between this promo and Seth Rollins' promo after he turned on the Shield. Like, that's when it didn't even hit me. I never put the connection between the two until like I rewatched this promo. It's like, holy shit, this sounds a lot like Seth Rollins when he goes, I didn't sell out. I bought in on Seth Rollins. Like, he really laid it out there. Like, yeah, you guys wanted Roman. You guys wanted Dean. No, you get fucking me, dude. Like,
you get me.
Yeah.
I'm the best.
Like that. It's one of those things where, like, when done right, it is so money. And, like, you have to do it with the right guy. And Rock at the time he was the perfect guy because he was so over as a babyface in that little mini run that he had there, that when he just turns heel just like that in such an unexpected way, the people are just ready to pounce because, like, we get invested in you. We give you all this, positive response. And then you decide to pull that shit, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
No, fuck you, boo
Jerk.
you. You don't get to get our applause anymore. You're an asshole.
That brings us to the end of part 1 on The Rock. I enjoyed seeing Rock origins, essentially. This is like growing from a pebble to a boulder to The Rock. Seeing that growth, seeing that development. Obviously, the ladder match is the match I would encourage everyone to go back and watch. It's excellent. I also encourage people to go back and watch Deadly Games.
Yeah, just the whole thing. Just the whole thing.
Tournament.
Just do it.
It's really good.
I did it. It's awesome. It's one of the best pay-per-views that company's ever produced.
One of the strongest, especially of 98, is Survivor Series. That's going to wrap up for this week. Next week, we're looking at, obviously, The Rock Part 2 is going to cover... We're going to start with that legendary I Quit match against Mankind at the 99 Rumble, and goes all the way to Armageddon 2000. So we're covering 99 and 2000 for The Rock. And we said already, 2000, one of Rock's greatest years, one of the best years for WWF as a whole. And I think we're watching 3 different matches from that.
Yeah. And it's going to be great. I'm
good.
very excited. I know one of the matches already, and trust me, you guys are going to want to tune into that one.
And next week's episode is our 1-year anniversary episode. A year of doing the pod, and we appreciate everybody who's made it possible and who listens. It's great.
Yes, holla at you, boys. We couldn't have done it without you guys, and I really appreciate everyone that tunes into this podcast. Almost a year. That's insane to me. How time flies.
We spent most of it in our house.
Honestly, I probably would have spent most of it in my house anyways, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm an indoor kid. Javier, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on the good old Twitter machine at JMelloSports. You can find me retweeting everything UMass basketball and whatever Evan tweets out.
That's true. That's.
Don't forget to vote for Trey Mitchell for the Karl Malone Award.
Vote for Trey Mitchell. Follow me on Twitter at @EvanGomes, ITSEVANGOMES. Also, today, Thursday, when we're recording, the first 2 episodes of my new podcast just dropped. The Pop Capsule Podcast, where we review old pop culture. The first one, we're talking about things like Super Bowl halftime shows and Bruno Mars, Britney Spears, all the pop culture favorites that you know and love. Shaggy, Recovering It Wasn't Me. One of the greatest songs of all time.
I've booted up the first one. I'm about 10-ish minutes in. It's great so far. I'm very excited to finish that one out. Go give Evan some love. Give Mallory some love.
Follow that one on the Pop Capsule Pod on Twitter and on Instagram. But I think that wraps up all the things we need to cover for us.
The merch table's open. I don't know if we talked about it. The merch table's open. Buy our shirts.
Merch table is open, fullpressshop.com. Javier, any final words for the people?
Black Lives Matter and keep fighting the good fight, everybody.
See you next week for our 1-year anniversary. Boom. Nailed it.